Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm not unboxing anything. Today I'm trying to explain the benefits and perhaps add some opinion to the advantages and disadvantages of bi-wiring your speakers. Traditional speakers will commonly have a duplicated binding post on the back, essentially a set for the top half of the speaker and the bottom half of the speaker. That's certainly accurate conceptually. When debating the advantages that speaker cable can deliver, it's important to understand that a single good run of good speaker cable is likely to outperform two poor quality runs of a lesser cable. So the debate about bi-wiring hinges first on the quality of the speaker cable, and then secondly the debate can start about bi-wiring or potentially bi-amping if the feature is available on the speaker. It's very common here at the Listening Post that we actually start recommending a certain category of speaker cable, which by the way has a hidden feature. One that we commonly talk about is a WireWorld Solstice speaker cable. Now, WireWorld has been our go-to for good quality speaker cable for a very, very long period of time. Great engineering, tends to bring detail and transparency out without being bright, but it's renowned for having wonderful dynamic control of the bass. By design, they have they resolve very quickly the inductance and capacitance issues that common traditional, figure 8 speaker cable can have. And they utilise a lot of filament copper, so lots of strands of copper side by side. But when you need the gauge involved with a floor standing speaker and the current and voltage required to keep bass under control, what WireWorld do is they duplicate the number of conductors that are in their cable using a black, red, red, black combination. You can sort of see that here, and please hang around for some photographs. We'll take some close-ups as always. This configuration means that you can separate off the conductors and turn it very easily into a cable that is either a 2-to-2 or single wire, or a potential bi-wire configuration. And with that in mind, it moots any argument as far as the potential gains associated with a cable investment for a bi-wiring of the speaker. You see, if it's already in the technology of the cable, then it's only the cost involved with some additional set of banana plugs that allows you to take advantage of the bi-wiring capabilities of your speakers. So the WireWorld Solstice and the WireWorld Luna are very, very competent speaker cables configured as either 2-to-2 or 2-to-4. And again, hang around for some photographs. We've got examples of those floating around. So, our little specimen off to one side for a moment. The first thing you need to do if you're going to bi-amp or bi-wire your speakers, and it's the first thing, is remove the bridging clips. It's really, really vital. What that does is, and again, sometimes the benefits are going to be more influenced by the crossover network, but if I show you an example of an old crossover network that we've got floating around, the bridging clips which are in place between the top and bottom clearly highlight the circuit that is created between two small circuits associated with managing the frequencies through the speaker. Now it's a loom of cable that takes those off to the rest of the speaker. But look, conceptually, the way that they influence the low frequencies away from the mid-range and high frequency drivers, and the bass drivers, the bass to the bass drivers, is through a passive circuit. Now, if that circuit is of a competence and quality, then there will be often negligible influence when you start to bi-wire versus a single wire. But most, bell-shaped curve of information, ignoring the outliers at the extremes, the vast majority of the time when you bi-wire, you are creating a dedicated circuit specifically for the mids and highs and specifically for the bass, ensuring that the potential current and voltage surges associated with bass and the dynamics with it isn't going to flood electrically and manipulate the mid-range and highs. So very commonly when you buy wire, you get an increase in the mid-range presence and detail and perhaps an unveiling effect. Nevertheless, when you're by wiring, it's pretty straightforward. Now, here's an example. Right, here is the same Solstice speaker cable terminated in what we have commonly called a 2 to 4. This is where you've got 2 plugs at the amplifier end and 4 plugs at the speaker end. They're clearly labelled and the colour coding makes it very, very simple as far as being able to connect these. Very straightforward as far as plugging in each to them, and again hang around for the close-up photographs. So there's a combination of traditional by wiring, a 2 to 4 combination at the speaker. Now that again is immediately taking advantage of your investment in the speaker cable and delivering a small but noticeable improvement just by changing the plug configuration on the cable. Now that combination is most commonly utilised when you have an integrated amplifier like this, which has, now this one has A and B speakers, and I'd like to end the debate about terminating things 4 to 4 and utilising A and B speaker binding posts. It's my opinion that the potential for human error associated with accidentally having A or B speakers off, bumping it on the remote or on the front panel, eliminates any potential advantage with more conductive surface using A and B when simply by wiring. My recommendation is that you keep it nice and simple and use a 2 to 4 connection approach when simply using a by-wire configuration. Don't go 4 to 4 if your amplifier has A and B speakers. Nevertheless, that's the classic combination of wiring where we would take 2 to 4 to take advantage of a by-wire environment. Moving this cable for a second. Put that off to one side. The most traditional, as said, is that 2 to 2. Okay? So again, that would see this going in to the amplifier, and in this instance, because of course the bridging clips are gone, this would only drive the bass, for example. The bridging clips must go back in if you're using a traditional 2 to 2 configuration. Then we look for the ultimate, and this is where both the speaker cable and the amplification start to work in absolute harmony, and that's where bi-amping comes in. Now, when you are bi-amping, traditionally you'll have an integrated amplifier pre-out into the inputs of the power amplifier, and then additional cabling for the speakers. Duplication of that cable is typically necessary when you're bi-amping. However, again with the WireWorld Solstice and the Luna for a cheaper option, you can choose to go 4 to 4 in this configuration. So you would place one set in each of the amplification stages terminals. So this is obviously for just one channel, one side, left or right, whatever it might be. And in this instance, that's where the time and patience of being very careful as far as your bridging clips removal, because you never want to do this without the bridging clips in, would give you a brilliant opportunity to drive a separate amplifier straight into the top of the speaker and a separate amplifier into the bottom. Now that bi-amping is the ultimate goal as far as delivering clean, clear power to speakers and delivering a wonderful sense of control from the amplification. Of course your investment goes up when you do that, but if you've owned something as credible as this NAD amplifier, so it's got a streaming card on board and all sorts of features you'll love, and then you're looking for a nice upgrade, well, if you've invested properly in your speaker cable, it's a very straightforward process to add an additional power amplifier. NAD themselves actually build this matched power amplifier specifically to complement their integrated amps for this type of outcome, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. Now, In an up-and-coming video, we're going to explain the differences between bridging mono and horizontal and vertical bi-wiring, so look out for that. But as far as a nice, simple explanation, this is the most common way of taking the cable investment that you have, the wiring investment and the speakers, and delivering a brilliant bi-amp, bi-wire approach. So, just to recap, if you're running 2 to 2, 2 bananas each end, then that's a very traditional speaker cable setup. It's probably the most common we might sell. 2 to 4 takes advantage of the simplification of crossover networks and other things along those lines to deliver a dedicated circuit to the top and a dedicated circuit to the bottom of the speaker, and bring that circuit all the way back to the amplification. A 4 to 4 configuration, where you are running 2 amplifiers, is the ultimate. That's where your investment in amplification has to change to do that, but ultimately that means not only are you creating a dedicated circuit to the top, but you've got dedicated amplification simply to drive the top of the speakers, and then a dedicated power amplifier to run the bottom, and that ends the debate as far as things go. If you make the investment in a matched amplifier, it's got to be matched, and you make the investment in the right speaker cable, then a bi-amp, bi-wire combination will be by far the best. So, a 2 to 4, if your speaker is capable of it and you don't have to double your investment in speaker cable, is easy to justify. Certainly a 4 to 4 combination is the most obvious in this configuration. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.